Hey everybody, so I'm sure we can all agree that you have to process your images. You have to do something with your raw files in order to get the best out of them. So whether you decide to use Lightroom or Photoshop, that's up to you, but you have to process the files. That's it. So in this video, what I'm going to show you is, during my recent migration safari, it's about a week ago I think, in between game drives, if we come back to camp, because first priority is obviously to be out there, but in between drives we come back, and when there's time, we then work on Lightroom to try and show people not necessarily how to process their images and do it for them, but to give them the tips and the tricks that they can take home and ultimately do their own. So in this video, I think it's about 20-25 minutes, I screen recorded the work I did with some of the guests in the field at our Mara camp, and it'll give you an idea of how we can work through something. It'll give you an idea. It's very relaxed, it's informal. The first thing is experience, it's fun, obviously. So in this video, it's about Lightroom, it's about the images. I hope you can take something from it. Enjoy.
Okay, so we'll look at some of those, yeah? Let's start on a basic one. I want to start specifically on that one. Okay, so inside your develop module, overview, everything you do from basic through camera calibration is global. There's a problem with this image though because it's not in focus. See, the focus hit the chest, so the face is off. Okay, we'll use this one.
Okay.
So in the basic panel, if you can't get your image looking pretty decent by just these, and you have to start polishing more, there's a problem. Okay, everything you apply from basic all the way to the bottom is global, so it does everything over the whole image. These things up at the top is specialized adjustment, which either crop or it works a specific small piece of the image. So from a pure workflow point of view, I'll give you guys this, it's a PDF I have with like a workflow thing through. First thing you always do is you crop. Okay, because the reason for that is right now the histogram does this.
Pretty good.
If I were to crop, it changes my histogram. So you can't go do adjustments, then crop, because it throws all your adjustments off. Okay, so in this case, if we crop, for argument's sake, let's look at something like this, because it's quite a wide image. Like that.
That's a pretty picture.
Okay, maybe just move this down a bit. That balance is more over there. Next thing you would do is you would look for dust spots, which is often in the sky, and you would look at the horizon that's skewed. None of those bother us here. Okay, from then you look at basic. Only this first. You don't just go charging in, do a brush, and start painting this thing's eyes. Because you're going to do global first and work smaller, 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 smaller. Just run through each of these so you know what they are. Temperature is white balance. You can either make it cooler or warmer. More orange or more blue. Tint is attached to white balance. It either gives you a green tinge or like a magenta purple. Often if you shoot inside forests, the camera overcompensates towards the magenta side, so you might have to just pull the greens back a bit. But more often than not, don't have to use. Exposure is what it says. Exposure makes the image darker and lighter. It's like in-camera over and under compensation. Contrast makes the darks darker and the lights lighter if you increase it, so it gives punch, if you will, or it flattens the image out. All right? I'm going to jump quickly. Clarity down here does the same thing that contrast does, but it focuses on the edges, where two tones come together like there. There's green and yellow coming together. So clarity either makes it look sharper or Vaseline on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. There's very few. If you ever do portraits of people, minus like 35 for women, beautiful because it takes wrinkles away. But that's a whole different story.
Stupid question. So
yeah,
you've been going back and forth. You just hit the cursor thing to sort of go back to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So on all of them, right is more, left is less. So if I do forward and back, if you double click it, it always goes back to 0.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. So exposure, contrast, and clarity. I'm going to jump to one more. Dehaze down here does the same thing what contrast does and what clarity does to the edges. Dehaze does to smooth areas, like those areas there. So if I were to do this, it tries to bring detail. It looks shitty here. Don't worry about that. But that looks better. Okay. So if we now go back to basic, blacks and whites. Remember we spoke about how the black and white points has to be. Shadows then controls the areas just above blacks and just below whites. So those are different. Vibrance and saturation. Very, very seldomly would you have to go heavy on saturation. Saturation takes every color in the spectrum and pushes those. It's like a sound desk. It pushes everything up at the same amount. Where vibrance will look and see what colors are lacking in this image. In this case, red maybe and blue. It'll try and lift the red and blues first and then pull the rest up. So it's a more balanced approach. Often if you go max on saturation, not great, versus max on this, okay, funny it doesn't work the same. Generally you can go quite heavy on this and just punch this a little bit to add saturation. Okay, now so that's just what the sliders do. First thing you do, black slider. You hold the black slider and you click Alt, right? Drop it all the way to the left. The areas that are shining through is pure black right now. We can't leave it there because that's not great. You only want a speck or two. So you hold Alt, hold the slider, move it up, 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 up until you get, we've got some here. Okay, so see this here, right? Release. Black is now set. White, hold Alt, grab the slider, move it to the right. That will be pure white. We don't want that, of course. And then you slowly drop it down until you're left with specks down there. Release. So just that has given us that. So it's made the whole thing more balanced. In this case, it was a little bit underexposed because it was burnt in the beginning. So now we fixed that.
What's your toggle to compare the two?
So if you want to see a before and after, you hit Y on the keyboard, which is take one image to 2 and 2 back to 1.
That's easy.
So that's why. When I give you this video, it'll have the keyboard shortcuts on it as well.
Okay.
So from here, the next thing I like to do is look at, so you work up from here towards that side now. Blacks and whites we've done. Shadows. Are there any dark areas in the image that you feel needs to be lighter? In this case, no. So that if it looks, for example, like that, maybe, then you could maybe lift that up a bit. But for now, this is pretty cool. Are there any highlight areas, bright areas which are too bright that you want to pull down a bit? Maybe. This and that. So then you take your highlight slider and you just do visually. See what that does? It just tones the bright areas in a bit. So you do it visually until it's around about there. That's pretty cool. Contrast. Do we want to make the darks darker a bit and the lights lighter? Normally a good idea. 10 to 15 gives us a good punch, but do it visually. You see what that does? It gives that a little bit of depth. So let's leave it around about there. Check before and after. Coming along nicely.
You don't realize it's really making any changes until you do it.
Yeah. Now, so once you've gone from blacks all the way up, jump to clarity. Clarity on wildlife between 5, 10, 15, always a good idea. Can you see that happening there? So be careful though. If you take clarity too far, you're going to have to start lifting the shadows again. Action, reaction. There's always something. Vibrance, up a little bit. Just to get that color in there. And maybe just a touch of saturation, not too much. So that's where we are now. Okay. You can also use the backslash key to give it before and after on one screen. Before, after, before, after. Okay. Now we scroll down to effects. If you want to do anything to the smooth areas, thank you, Jono. You can use dehaze. I'm going to overdo it just so you see. I like what it's doing in the background, but it messes everything else up. If that's the case, don't do it globally. You're going to do it locally with the brush later. Okay, so we'll use that. In images with portraits, a slight vignette that people can't pick up is great. That is hallmark. That sucks. This is just horrible. So a little bit is enough just to tweak it in. So if you look what that does before and after, it just focuses. The idea behind a vignette historically is to focus the viewer's attention to the middle of the frame. So just a soft little one is cool. And now we check, okay, let's do before and after again. That's where we are. So far, so good. Right? But it's fine. Now, once I've done my global, that's all you need to do in global. Now we can go to these special adjustments. Forget these two. That's dust spot removal and it's red eye. Graduated filter we'll do on your landscape image. This is radial filter. So if I want to make, for example, a circular area, everything outside the circle or anything inside the circle, I can work that. So I'm going to do it, for example, on his face. So I select that tool. I put it over his face. If you hit O on the keyboard, it gives you the overlay. Red is where the adjustments will happen. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And you can change the feather, how strong. Obviously, you're not going to do that because that's going to be very visible. You're going to feather it in a bit. Okay. And in this instance, I actually want to flip it around to do his face. So I invert it. So now the adjustment's happening on him. Okay.
How do you invert?
This button here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't actually know if there's a... I don't think so. I will check up on that for you.
That's okay.
So invert mask, and then I hit O. I know where it's going to happen. Now I can tweak, for example, just him. I can now, whatever I want to do here. So what I saw here was, let me just zero all of them. is the shadow side. I want it to lift up a bit. Just that, because he's going to be my focus anyway. Okay, I can add a bit of sharpness here, just bump it up to there. You can see how that happens. Saturation's cool, and I think that's okay for now. So if I do my before and after, okay, we're getting there. Now I want to do another thing where I push light areas visually comes forward, dark area gets pushed back in the frame. So now I'm going to, not many people do this, you can right click on this thing, on the pin, and duplicate it. So now it's going to look horrible because I've got 2 on 1. So let me just split them up a touch so you can see there's 2. Okay. The top one, I'm now going to invert back again. So it's affecting the background. Now it's affecting there. I reset all my adjustments. Following so long.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I say I want to push the background back a little bit. Just to get my visual attention onto where I want you to look. Okay. And then I close the... So you can't see there's a circle. It just looks like light. The last thing I want to do is I want to pull him up even more, especially the eyes, just a little bit. So I'm going to zoom in on this face. Now I select my special adjustment brush. If you've got a whole bunch of stuff here, double click on effect and it zeroes everything on the brush. So now I'm going to select my brush. You see the size here. I've got a specific one there. It's all on 0, so I'm just going to do O. So I can see where I'm painting. I just want to do this a little bit. And this a little bit. Okay. So I know where it's going to happen. I remove my overlay. And now the shadows, I just want to lift up a little bit. Maybe there. Okay. And then zoom back out. And I'm done. And for F for full screen. And there's your final image.
Did you do the same thing to the female's face?
No, she
No,
wasn't.
she's
She's
not
not
focused.
clear.
Because the whole point of this is visual mass. I want you to, when you close your eyes, open. What do you see?
Right.
Straight to him, because he's the brightest, the sharpest, and the most colorful. That's what we're drawn to visually. The human eye goes to sharp things, bright things, colorful things. We're pushed away from soft things, dark things, and desaturated things. So if you use that in your processing, so if you do a before and after,
Wow.
Unbelievable.
okay,
Can I ask you? Sorry.
of course.
So why did you do 2 circles then? Because I thought you said you were going to duplicate the circle.
The only reason I duplicated it because the area I had was for the middle of it, and so I wanted to do something inside and outside the circle.
Oh.
So the first one works in, the second one works out, but it's all focused around his face area here. Makes sense? Okay, so,
Go that landscape.
yes. Okay, happy. Any questions there?
No.
That's easy. This one?
Yes.
This one. Okay. So, what do? We crop first.
I know it's in the center and you hate that.
In this case, it actually works. There's a time to break
You know
those
why?
rules.
Is it because the light is coming straight down there and everything's going
Everything
to the
feels
center?
right. So, and the tree, if the tree was tilting to the side, it wouldn't work. This can actually work. So what's the first thing? We straighten the horizon and we crop. If anything, I might want to just lose a little bit there, just to be more intentional. While you're in crop mode, you can look for, you can straighten the horizon. So to do this, easiest way is you hold, which one you hold? Command again. Command changes your cursor.
Hey, lunch is ready.
Wow.
Hey,
Jono.
Hey, he looks. hey, the problem is Jono, he looks like Bam Bam Flintstone.
That is classic, man.
There you go.
Dixon.
And now we done about the soup.
Yeah, now we're done about the soup. That's classic.
I like that.
Okay. Anyway, now that Kurt's left with his Massa outfit, so in crop mode, you hold Command or Control on a PC, and it changes your cursor to a water level. You then draw a line on the horizon that is supposed to be straight. You release, and it makes that straight. Copy that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can see if this is still in the middle. I can tweak this in a bit and make sure I'm dead center. Happiness, done. Okay. Now to check for dust spots. Q is your shortcut, or you just click up here, and then you get something called visualize dust spots. Either you click down here or you hit A. It does this. So what it does is it visualizes edges in the frame. So if you then push the intensity all the way up, you will see perfect little circle somewhere in the sky. There's nothing here. So you will see when it's not supposed to be there.
Okay.
It just looks, this is suspect. Oh my goodness. Are we missing something? Okay. This is suspect. You
Kurt's
can turn,
undressing.
That's very scary.
So if there was a dust particle,
Okay,
it's not supposed
so
to
let's
be
say
there.
this is a dust spot, right? I'm going to make up that is one. Because if I turn it off, the visualization, it shouldn't be there. Right? So then you literally just make your cursor on it, click it, and Lightroom will replace something on top to make it go away. All right. So that's the physics. The reason why you do all of that first, an artist is not going to sit down at a canvas and just start painting and halfway through cut off a piece and carry on. Fix it first. Okay, then we go to basic. Black and white points. Hold Alt, grab the slider, drop it down. Up, 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 up,
Last little speck.
until there's just speckles left at the base of the tree. I'm happy for that. Release. White, Alt, grab up, slowly down, 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 down. There. Okay, so that's your two adjustments already. Pretty subtle because it was well shot. Now we carry on.
Don't get like crazy on yourself.
Yeah. His head's growing.
Yes. Okay. So now we say, right, are there any shadow areas I want to lift up? In this case, I would say yes, because if you look at this, we see there's detail, but at scale, I can't see it. So if I lift the shadows up just a bit, the tree makes more sense. It looks longer, and it creates depth, because it doesn't look like it's just black on black. I can see there's something going in. You can decide to taste where you want this. Probably there somewhere. Okay. Are there any super bright areas that we need to drop down? If you're not sure, just grab the highlight slider and play with it and see if there's anything that you like. Okay. In this case, I would be seriously tempted to push it up a bit.
Yeah, same here.
Get some contrast going. So check where we're at. It's coming to
Wow.
life. Okay. Work up. Contrast. Do we want to do anything with contrast?
Make the clouds go.
Okay. So there's your contrast. Okay. Exposure, I wouldn't change much. You can swing it side to side and see you're not going to do anything with that. Okay. Clarity. Clarity should sing on this because of the amount of details. What we said on those clouds earlier on today. So if we go, yes. With an image like this, because this is almost going into black and white, it's not a natural animal where people know what the color is. People know a lion isn't bright yellow. They don't know what the sky was like. So here you can be a bit more aggressive on this. I mean, there's a lot to do there. So let's go around about there. Happy? Yeah. Vibrance. What do we see? So it's coming, the blues are coming back
Yeah,
Is that
nicely.
where this is starting to come down?
Yeah.
and you really see
And then the saturation thing here will give it almost starts looking unnatural. So I'm going to give you another way to do this. Let's take that to natural. So leave it there. Drop down to dehaze. I was saying to Kurt in the car, if I had my choice, I would start here and I would drag this. If I could organize these sliders on my own, it would be great. So just check dehaze always. Okay, in this case, too heavy, maybe like 6. Where are we at?
Wow.
Okay. So now we come back up. Remember, action, reaction. For anything you do, there must be an opposite reaction. Dehaze and clarity together, you might have to just lift your shadows a bit more. It just balances a bit. I've used between 3 and 5 on clarity, gives you 1 up on shadows. Ballpark. Okay. Now I say, right, what do I want here? It's a bit dark here now, so let me push the shadows up a bit. Okay. Now, I like the blue, but I like the orange as well. I can't take saturation up because it starts looking funky. Then you come down to here, this color thing. Click that. It gives you the color spectrum. Right. We want to work whatever this is. So I'm going to start with, let's see, orange. Then you get the 4 variables: hue, saturation, and luminance. Hue is what kind of orange. Like in blue, you get sky blue, royal blue, baby blue, light blue, so on. So you choose what kind of orange it is. Let me use blue as an example. So you can change what type of blue it is. Okay? Saturation is like the volume of the color. If you take it all the way down, it becomes black and white. Only that color channel, or you punch it up. And luminance is how bright or dark that color is. So now I want to lift this part here. I go to orange, maybe yellow, and I just see what the saturation does. So now I'm only affecting the orange, not the blue. Maybe make the color a bit darker.
Oh.
There. And you can see if there's a change. You don't make it red. Don't do that. So that took it from there to there. It's subtle, but it works. Any questions?
Yep.
Okay. So if we then look at your before and after.
Phenomenal.
Wow.
Oops, sorry. There.
Wow.
Pretty easy.
Yes,
Okay.
I really like that's so cool.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So you don't, because you have a brush and you have a radial filter, you don't have to brush everything. People charge you into the brush the moment they open it up. It's not necessary. Okay, let's pick one more.
You did a leopard in the tree.
Yes. Okay, so
Both of you.
just
Has
saying.
to remind. It's what you said.
All right, so what do we
I'll
do?
do that. This would be interesting because it's done.
We crop first. Wouldn't change a hell of a lot. What I might be tempted to, because the leopard's looking that way, you've got this diagonal through, is to go like a 16 by 9. Like that. It feels like it reads better.
Yeah.
But I would drop it down. Let's see what that looks like. It's your image. What do you think?
I like it.
Okay. Next up is their dust spot. So you can go there and hit A.
Where is it?
See this?
See all the dust down
Yeah,
there?
that's what this spot.
Okay.
Oh,
And what is
wow.
the, is that on your lens?
Yeah.
It's normally on the sensor, so you can actually see them here, right? If you look, see that moving around there. My screen's very dirty as well. But if I visualize them, it does that. So I can just drop the intensity. Okay, so those are all dust spots on the screen. So what you would do then, we're not going to do all of them, but we'll do some. So you just do that, and you go click, click. And Lightroom chooses areas. So I click here, and it's going to replace that on top.
Can you just do a big global circle around
You
it?
can. If it's a smooth area, so let's try one. Let's try here, for example, that. So, oops. So if you don't like what it chose, you can just say, no, I'd rather do that onto there. That
Phenomenal.
goes onto there. So then when you finish, you can just hit Q, and then you can just see. This is a simple one because it's all very similar. Even if it's blue tones, you're going to see circles, but that can work. So Q is your shortcut, and A visualizes. So then you just keep going until all those are gone, and so on and so forth. Yeah?
Mhm.
All right. Q. There's no horizon to straighten, so we're good. Then we start with basic. When I give you that PDF workflow, you'll see it runs through
Okay.
all the way.
That's the
Go
one.
black.
Black and white.
Where do you,
Alt.
where do you click on basic? Sorry.
So
Oh, right there. I see
So
it.
actually
okay.
just-
It's a
Yeah.
drop down bar.
So there's
Okay.
3 things in Lightroom. Modules are these on top. I've
Yeah.
removed everything else. I don't use it. Tabs are the things on the side that open and close. That's where you work. And each of these is a panel.
Got
So
it.
each panel you open by using the triangle on the side.
Got it.
All right. So blacks first. We hold Alt. You grab the slider, drop it all the way down, and bring it back until we have. See this red speck there. White. I'm expecting it not to be too hectic because there's already quite a bit of white. Speckles right at the top. Done. I'm not expecting that to do a hell of a lot. It's a little bit brighter because it was already like that. Now the magic happens. Are there dark areas that you want to lift? Most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Shadow slider. You do it visually until you're happy with it, right? Let's say around about there. That's cool. Now this is the question. We're coming, Dixon. Sorry.
Just a bit. He says, "Damn it, we made
Yeah.
this food nice. It's gonna get cold."
Totally.
So now we say, are there any highlights we want down? Here's the catch. This is blown out. There is no detail there. We know this. You can try to do that. Now it just looks dull. So there's always an exception to the rule. Okay, so that's where we've come from. Okay, contrast, always try it. It always adds a bit of punch. So contrast goes that way. So you can see what it does.
Mhm.
That's cool there. Now we come to clarity, which is going to enhance the edges. Up to there, maybe. Let's see. Okay. Vibrance, yes, we want, because we want that color to pop. Up to there, that's pretty cool. In this case, because it's a pretty simple image from a color point of view, I might want to add a bit of saturation so it pushes all the channels up as well. Now I'm thinking, because I added so much clarity, the leopard started to go a bit dark again. So I fight that by giving it a bit of shadows back. Okay. Down to the haze. So this is going to make it darker again, but in this instance it could work a bit. So slowly up, 5, 7 maybe. Okay, so if you've done anything in any of these panels, you can turn this toggle on and off. So this is what, can you see the difference?
Yeah. Yep.
I like that bit of injection of dark. Okay, and I almost don't think you need to brush anything, but I want to
What
lift
about
it.
that thing in its mouth?
You want to take it away?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
only from there to there.
A
So
little twig. Huh?
so everything we've done up until now is processing. If we remove that, it becomes manipulation.
Oh, so
It's-
and that's a no-no.
It depends. I mean, for me, it's a no. I wouldn't put it out unless I'm doing a print. If I were to print this on a wall, I would remove that for sure.
Yep.
But then I'm open. I changed it, so that's fine. But I'll show you how to do it. So dust spots isn't. You're not changing the content that was there when you shot it because that was on your camera. This is there. So how you would do that is the same way you did the dust spot removal. Click that, make this small, small, small. And now, remember we just clicked once and it removed the dots. Now you go as small as you can from the start and you click and drag and you basically, oh man, why is it slow? Let me just do that one again. Delete. And you just draw, hello? Did it do it? Okay, I'll just keep going from there then. So I draw a line down to there and now it's trying to find, done. So now it replaces something onto there. I'll do another one up here from there just to the end of his mouth and release. It places up. I can H hides the pins, so there's a bit of funkiness there. Maybe just one click. Okay, you can fine tune this. Close and zoom out. So that's gone.
So say you're going to print something for a book.
Yeah.
In your house.
Uh-huh.
You could take that out.
We can clean all of this up. You can take all of that stuff out
Yeah,
easy
but I
enough.
wouldn't take that
You want to
out.
try and keep it as natural as possible
Yeah.
from a wildlife point of view, but it's up to you. That's how you do it. The why is yours, the how is mine. That's how you do it. You can decide why. Easy. I must write that down. That was good. Okay, so if we look where we came from, so your full screen image would look like that.
You're saving this, right?
What's
on
that?
my, on my
Yeah, I can export all of those back onto your stuff.
Now, can I ask you a question? So was the background, Brian, when you shot that, was it white? Kind of.
yeah, I mean
So
it was
here's
dark
the-
at night.
This is the original
Oh,
file.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
So there was no blue.
no.
Mm-mm.
That's because it was probably 640.
Almost dark.
Can I show you? This is a cheat. So if you want to put a brush, for example, on this area here, on here, right? You can do this as, okay, let me show you this stuff. So the brush, that's a feather, okay? If you turn this on, auto mask, it finds edges. So if I do it with my overlay on, if I were to paint, I'm going to go quite aggressive on this. Okay, so remember, red is not, it's red, it's just where things are going to happen. And it tries to find edges. So it's now found all those edges. I take my overlay off. What makes something blue? White balance,
Cold.
cooler. So it's possible. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
So you can do this, and I wouldn't have that is not changing the content. You're now manipulating the image from a color point of view. It's fine. All your choice. So then you just have to go inside here. I'm just going to bump this up to 100. So then you would do the same in here. What you're doing now is, as long as the plus doesn't touch another tone, it's trying to find all the edges, so it won't affect my leopard. So you can do that. This is hard work, but it can work. So it's just ideas. Yeah. Okay, so then which ones have been processed? It's that one,
Leopard.
that one,
This
that
one,
one, and that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right click, export. They're gonna go choose the folder onto
Brian.
this. I'm putting this. I'm gonna put this onto your hard drive now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just put them in the base directory. Done. JPEG.
Love it.
Give you full screen. I'll show you now. We can do this. Don't put my watermark. Don't open it. Photoshop. And done. And then it exports, and those are now they're JPEGs you can use.
And you can't go back to the original once you do that,
You can
right?
do all of those, right? Huh?
You cannot go back to the original.
No, you can. So what you see here now is inside of your catalog file. So you will see there's two things. That means it's been cropped. This means it's been processed. What you see, if you go to develop here, what you see in here isn't the final file. This is your raw file, untouched, with all of the adjustments you've made. Lightroom showing it to you. This is what it would look like if you export now. You've exported now. So if I look at your, if we go to here, so there's the Lightroom exports. So this is now the final file. So that's the new file now. That's been done. But inside of Lightroom, your files are not touched. Your raw files are never hurt. Okay, we'll do the zebra and then we lunch.
Okay.
So same thing. We go to D, fine tune the crop. There's not a hell of a lot I would do. This is a bit distracting for me. So I would just tweak this in ever so slightly to there.
So there's not so much light on that.
Yeah, it feels tighter. Okay, black and white. There's no horizon, and there probably isn't dust spots because there's no smooth areas at the back, like in a sky. Hold Alt, drop down, up, 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 up. The far side there. Yeah. Hold Alt, white, up, drop, 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 drop. There. So 2 sliders gives us that.
Wow.
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 Because now black is defined, white is defined.
And on the
Mid-grey
zebra,
would be
you've done
mid-grey.
all
So
the-
green is green, blue is blue, and. Okay, so those 2 are done. I work up. Is there any shadow details that I want to lift up? Your image, you decide.
I don't. No.
Okay. Any highlight
You agree,
areas?
Gerry?
Do you agree?
Globally, yes. I want to lift this though.
Just down here?
But I wouldn't do it for the entire image because then it blocks it. That I will do locally.
Okay.
Yeah. Highlights.
What about the brown on top? It's the only
Good
thing
call.
my eye's drawn to.
That's quite strong, and this is quite strong. So let's see if that can be fixed like this. It does tone it down quite a bit. Okay. If you've maxed this out and it's still there, it has to be localized, and you'll brush it. Okay, so we'll leave it there for now. Clarity on this, always a little bit worth a look. Yeah. Saturation, more for the green. What you could do here is you could go to the green channel.
And because I would love to make that green in the back.
Green, so make saturation up a bit. You can make it darker maybe. Push it up a bit more again. So if you look at before and after. Yes?
You made it more green though, right?
I made it greener and a bit darker.
Yeah.
Okay. We've done saturation. We come down to effects. See if dehaze does anything. Wouldn't do too much. It goes too dark again, so no. Now we go localize and we say, this area here I want to lift, that area I want to drop. This I could put a radial filter on here. So I go radial on this. Oopsie, sorry. And I invert it so I work inside
Sorry, so when you click the circle, what did you click after?
to get the red.
Yeah.
O for overlay. Okay, so now I know which area is going to work. And in that area, I take the shadows up.
Oh, wow.
So it's just
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect the rest. Okay?
Love that.
Now I'm going to close my this. That is not circular, so I'll just use a brush on this one.
Okay.
I'll go up there, and I want to do the highlight areas down and maybe a bit of exposure down. Okay, let's fix that there, not auto mask. And then you just push that back.
And
So,
it's doing it.
I don't have to be specific because it's only affecting the highlighted areas and a bit of exposure. So if I do this, so that's what the brush did.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and close, and this is before and after, and that's your final image on an F.
Wow.
But you see that the pattern stays the same. I can
Yeah.
give you the way to do it. You have to decide how much of each thing. I can say to you, these are the ingredients to bake the cake. You have to do it and decide how much sugar or not you want. Okay, so
Amazing.
I'm going to export this one. So if you've exported a bunch already with the same name and the same destination, you can just say right click, export with previous, and it keeps all the same adjustments and it
Most
puts in the
recent
same
one.
place. Do you want to overwrite, skip, cancel, or use unique? Not overwrite, not skip, not cancel, use unique names. That thing gets exported. Let's just double check it quick.
No, it's my hard
So then if I look at your hard drive inside Lightroom,
There it is.
there's the new one and it's all done. Makes sense. Think about it. If you have questions, we can do it again.